My friends, good day. National Aeronautics and Space Administration has just announced that one of the crew members, number 11 on the International Space Station, is having health problems. They sent out an extremely brief statement describing him as being in a stable condition. Stable. In everyday language, it means the person is between life and death. Now has parameters that aren't moving in the wrong direction, nor in the right one for that matter, but anything can happen. I'm not sure if stable was used accurately or just mentioned by the communications department. But in any case, the statement is quite worrying. It doesn't say who it is about. There are currently 7 people on the International Space Station. The International Space Station that you can track online orbits about 400 kilometers above us. Like almost all manned exploration, it's an exploration that takes place in what's called low Earth orbit. That's low Earth orbit. I was saying there are 7 people inside. We have 1 American woman and 6 men in the crew. Out of the 7, there are 3 Americans, 3 Russians, and 1 Japanese. They've been there for, if we take a look, let's see how long they've been there. Some of them left in November. They've been there for about a month and a half. Others left this summer. They've been there for 5 months. The normal rotation isn't scheduled. The next crew rotation wasn't planned before May. So here's what could happen. They say they'll give an update in the next 24 hours. It's quite a unique situation. We could potentially see the first evacuation in the history of space. There have been astronauts in the history of space who got sick, who caught a cold, who even had digestive problems. With all that could imply everything imaginable. Aerosols, sometimes extremely foul-smelling. I mean, don't you have a tendency for those things? Just between us, we're talking, I mean. There have been extremely difficult situations, but none at this point in the history of space exploration that have justified an urgent evacuation. So, if an evacuation is needed, the good news is that today there are 2 capsules attached to the International Space Station, unlike last time. Remember, there was that man, that woman who came, Williams. Do you remember Williams? And the other one, the name escapes me. They came for a week, but they stayed for a long time. They were rescued by Elon Musk's SpaceX team. But this time, we're not going into a situation like that. This time, there are 2 capsules docked to the International Space Station, and both are ready for a quick departure. An American capsule could potentially land off California's coast. And then, if it's a Russian crew member, because we don't know who it is, well, there's a Russian capsule that would go toward Kazakhstan and would be recovered there. Evacuation is possible, which means someone is truly in danger. If the person can be transported, of course, they could put them in the capsule and allow them to return to Earth within a few hours. That's also necessary. It's not just about launching the capsule, which can return quickly. It's also about preparing the ground teams who could actually recover it once it lands. It's this logistics that could take a few more hours. On the International Space Station, they have some medical equipment. That means they can treat a toothache, put on a bandage, or take care of an injury. They can handle the usual minor injuries and even some medium-sized ones. It even seems that they're able to intubate someone and put them on oxygen and everything. But at that point, we're starting to get into some serious stuff. At that point, you need anesthesiologists and other serious doctors, which they have on the ground. Well, the problem is that they can always guide you on the frequency, but it's not that simple. Even though every person who goes to the International Space Station has been trained to perform medical procedures, sometimes quite complicated ones. I don't know, I can't see. I'll check the profiles of the people who are there. I don't see a surgeon or a doctor, someone for whom it's really their profession. So here we have more technical profiles, so we'll try to follow along. I really hope with all my heart. I hope this situation will have a positive outcome. Either that the person will be brought back and treated on Earth, or that tomorrow they'll tell us everything is fine. We almost got scared, but everything went back to normal. But it's true that right now the problem is with the International Space Station. With long-distance manned missions, we're talking today about going to Mars. These are missions that are long. But even if we select humans, even if we make them go through medical exams, what can you do? We try to choose people who are strong, athletic, all that. If you look at the Apollo astronauts, even though they went through radiation zones, it seems like it was a fountain of youth for them. Many of them died at a very old age, and some are still running around today just saying. So, what I mean is, it's a challenge, a very specific challenge for long duration manned space missions, whether it's the International Space Station or even interplanetary missions. It's about how you handle it if someone has health problems. What do you do just like on Earth? You call an ambulance, it's there in 3 minutes, all that. But when you're in space, even the smallest problem multiplies, gets more complicated, and all that. So we'll see. I'll keep you updated on this channel if there's anything new. National Aeronautics and Space Administration says the next update will be in 24 hours. Before I go, let me remind you about my books because I'm a National Aeronautics and Space Administration observer. I have no grievance against National Aeronautics and Space Administration, but some of the things they accomplished during the Cold War, for me, from a purely scientific standpoint, there's no politics involved. There are problems behind that. I had written a book that caused quite a few problems, quite a few concerns, the one about Apollo, the Apollo hoax. So now I've done it again. You see, now there are two, I've done it again. The forbidden questions. The file is getting thicker. In the second one, I go deeper. I answer the questions that were raised by the first one. There you have it. Again, nothing against National Aeronautics and Space Administration. All right, but there are political things that need to be exposed. There are things that were done during the Cold War. And then it's our duty, it's everyone's duty. Out of intellectual honesty today, we're far from all that. We're in 2026. We're far from the emotions of that time, the tensions of that time. Well, quatomps. And maybe it's high time to turn the page on those things. When you look here in this book, the second volume, you realize that even the new generation of National Aeronautics and Space Administration technicians and National Aeronautics and Space Administration researchers are starting to come out. Studies where the contributions of Apollo are not taken into account, they're starting to be considered less and less, but instead moving forward and just putting them in parentheses. Because statistically, these are things that are completely outside of what we know, and we're starting from scratch. Blank. Everyone should do that on many topics, not just this one. Thank you, my friends, for watching this video until now, and I'll see you in the next one.